Great Western locomotives have arrived with me, and they've been sent to go through servicing and their A exams. These are A.D. Pullen's locos. Some of you may have seen his YouTube channel. A.D. reports they all stopped working. Fortunately, I've tested them all and they all run in the service cradle, so hopefully it will just be a case of clean, service and relubricate. So the first loco we've got on the test bed is the Airfix Castle, which is a tender drive mechanism. It all seems to run, but it does sound quite restricted there. Smells a bit carbony as well, quite low current being drawn, and we've got some stiffness in the training wheels, so that's the things to have a look at. So with this one, we've opened it up obviously. Oil and gear lube has been applied there, and to the bearing ends. We've got a very strange gearbox arrangement in these Airfix locos. As you can see, everything's running quite smoothly. Not a lot to be worried about there, I don't think. So we just reassemble the tender drive now, and then we'll look at the loco. Just before we finish, we just tuck the back plate off the bottom of the motor bogie, of the tender drive. Made sure the axles are correctly lubricated there, and that's been done now. So I'm going to reassemble that, then clean the wheels because there's quite a few deposits on the traction tyres. So we have removed the bottom plate from the loco itself, and this lets us inspect the axles and pickups. And as you can see, the grease has gone very thick and heavy there, which probably is stopping it moving easily. So we're going to have a good clean round and relubricate with some light lubricant. Check the tension on the pickups, which are you're possibly able to see on the video. They're in the backs of the wheels there. We'll just check them and make sure that they're not too strong, but strong enough to keep contact. So there's the oldest one that you sent me, A.D. The Airfix one. Seems to be running really well now. A little bit stiff on the loco wheels, but that's due to the pickups. But that's a trade-off between having good pickups and slightly slipping, which is the case for all tender drive locos. So pretty much she's finished and done and ready to be sent back to you. So next up is the streamlined Castle. This is the chassis dismantled. It's a Hornby chassis of one of the original Castle motors. I've got one of these. Quite difficult to get to the gears and everything, but you can just see them through those holes there. They look bone dry, so they need a good lubricate, and we'll see if we can get into this and clean the commutator. It's a case of undoing these screws and it should all just pop off, fingers crossed. Okay, here we are back with the Castle. We've removed the nut and bolt there that comes through from underside and the screw here, and that should allow us to withdraw the motor, which it does. And now we can get to everything to give it a good check and clean. You can see a lot of the old lubricant has gone hard in there, which will make things very difficult. So I have a good clean round, I relubricate with the correct stuff. I'm using Labelle 102 and maybe a little bit of gear lube in there as well from Hobby Lube. But anyway, I'll crack on with this and come back once it's put back together. Cool. No wonder it smelled a bit funny and ran a bit funny. Look how black the commutator is, and the brushes are completely choked with muck. This must have been burning a bit of oil that got onto the commutator at some point in the past. Anyway, so I'm glad I opened that. I'll now get a good clean up and put it back together. I'm sure it'll be feeling a lot more happy. Well, that's it cleaned up as best I can. Never have I seen a commutator quite so black, and as you notice now the brushes are a nice bronzy colour. Can't get the last of that residue off, but it appears to be clean and shiny. Gave it a very tiny little bit of a buff over with a ink pencil eraser so that it doesn't scratch the commutator. But I think we're ready to reassemble the motor and start some tests. There we go, AD, all assembled. This wheel was loose on its axles on the tender. That's been fixed now, and all the wheels were given a good clean up, including the pickups. And she now appears to run. An interesting loco that is. Streamlined castle. Anyway, we'll take all these downstairs later for a test run round. So full lubrication, motor service, and wheel fix, and she's ready to go. So here we go with one of the Hogwarts castles. Now this one's got a light in the front, and we've got quite elaborate connections going up to that light. We've also got damage here to the securer, where the screw holds the loco down at the front, and a bar broken at the back there. And this time we've got a more modern motor, so servicing should be quite easy. Just check the lubrication levels, and then we look at these bodywork issues and see where we go. So we've took the plate off that covers the worm gear, and as we can see the lubricant that was in there has all dried out virtually, so we'll replenish that and give it a clean round. And you can see where it's been scraping up the sides there, that all comes out. It's all gone hard and horrible, so we'll see if we can sort that. Welcome back. Well, that took some time, as often these mechanical issues do. Initially I was thinking I might make a metal tube and put round the old stub, but that was going to be problematic. And then I just happened to notice I had one of those pencils with a rubber on the end, so I've trimmed it down to be the exact size of the broken piece that was left there, and I've just checked that it's fitted. I've tapped it with the very smallest of drills that I've got, and the screw that secures the body should happily go into that, look. And whilst it may not be the best of mounts, it will certainly hold it in place, and if it's not used too much, which it shouldn't be, then it should do its job fine. So I'm looking forward to getting this back together and making sure it all works and looks good. Well, AD, that was the most challenging one because I had to repair that broken pillar. But there we go. She now seems to run beautifully. Quite fun with that light on. My own dirty track there. As you can see, when it gets on the clean track, perfectly good. That's number 3. Alright, it's the fourth and final castle from AD, and this is another traditional old Hornby one, so I'm expecting the motor process to be very similar. It's quite some wear on the wheels, almost polished brass colour. No traction tyres on these, they didn't used to have them on the early ones like we saw on the more recent one. So I'll go through that, but I won't bore you with what I do unless it's particularly different from the previous Hornby castle. Well, I would show you the motor just to show you we've got different sort of nylon gears, white coloured this time, but again the commutator was absolutely black, and so were the brushes. There you can see them there. It's making me think I should open up my own Hornby Castle and see what state she's in. There must be something they put in there, perhaps some sort of lubricant that's got onto the commutator. Anyway, it's all cleaned off now, so we're just going to look to reassemble, bit of lubrication, and then start on the chassis. Okay, one top tip just before I put the motor back together is when you're cleaning, make sure to clean the brushes obviously, and also clean out the tube that the brush fits in. And you must make sure, if I can just get it in there, that it is free, like that one just did, to drop through completely. And if not, sometimes there's a little burr in these. You may need to use a tiny bit of fine wet and dry, wrap it around a cocktail stick, and smooth it out inside. That's what the problem with this one was. Even though I put it back together, having cleaned it all, the brushes couldn't be pushed through by the little delicate springs. So that's a top tip for you. Make sure the brush tubes are clear. Yeah, just putting this back together, a curious thing I've noticed on most of these castles is that the wheels are a brass colour, apart from that one there. Look, you can see the difference, as if all the plating's gone off them. And here and around the back of the loco there's a load of what looks like the plating. So I wonder if someone's in the past cleaned these with something very abrasive and took all the plating off. Anyway, if you keep them clean, that shouldn't be a problem, but the plating obviously is much better to have on there. I'll give it a good clean off anyway. Okay, that's loco number 4. That's 4 castles sorted out. And let's take them down to the layout for a proper test. That's the one repaired with a rubber.